build number 4, YouTube. It's the return of my Hazel Pick build from Dark Souls 3. And when I say my Hazel Pick build, I of course mean Adam Barker's Hazel Pick build. But there is no Hazel Pick in Elden Ring, unfortunately. No catalyst weapons in Elden Ring. So I'm using the War Pick instead. And I've got to tell you, this thing's not great. The damage is very lackluster, and the range is somehow worse than that, if you can believe it. I am not sure what this weapon is supposed to do, but it fails on every count. It's okay. They can't all be winners, you know? You would think, since you're hitting people with, like, the spiked, poked end of this thing, that it would, you know, do thrust damage. But no, it doesn't. It does strike damage, which is, you know, that's like the second best type of damage that you can do in terms of physical damage. We do have it magic infused, and it is not hitting particularly hard. However, Carrion Slicer is insanely powerful, and so that's fine. That's really all we need. When I started this build off, I rushed for the spells and the Carrion Glintstone Staff, which boosts all of the Carrion School sorceries, including Carrion Slicer, Greatsword, and Piercer, as well as the little sword that you can summon if you start as a prisoner. I started as a prisoner. That was the most efficient route, I think. This build will end up at a level 66. However, since I've gotten so familiar with Elden Ring, I'm able to rush and get the stuff that I want early, especially for this build because it's not too far away. So I'm able to just rush right there, grab all the stuff I want for this build, and I can start invading early. So I think typically these sort of invasion journals that I'm doing, they start off at around 44. This one started off at 33. Check it out. For a while, I didn't even have the stats to use a lot of the stuff I was using, including the staff and Carrion Piercer and Carrion Greatsword. Didn't have the stats for it, but I had the intelligence knot in my Wondrous Physic. So I had a smart drink, which would give me the, you know, I could use those spells, and I could use that staff. My weapons are at +3/+3 for the first part of these invasions that you're going to see. We're going to go up to level 44 midway through the video, and at level 44 we go up to +6/+6. This build, like I said, will end up at 66, I think, 67, somewhere around there. And look at the range! Oh, on the War Pick, it's so short. I did find some cool true combos, though. Between Carrion Slicer, Piercer, and Carrion Greatsword. Carrion Greatsword is the worst spell of the bunch, but Carrion Greatsword true combos into a War Pick light attack, so that's cool. And it's not bad in PvE because it actually has like some posture break to it. It's not easy to posture break an enemy with Carrion Slicer, especially like a boss. But you can do it with the Carrion Greatsword, which gives it kind of a purpose. The next thing I'm going to do for this build is I'm going to go and I'm going to grab the stuff that I need from Ronnie's quest, which includes a Duelist's Greatsword, which is just a straight upgrade of the Carrion Greatsword, because it does the same thing, hits harder, and has Frostbite. However, I'm going to keep Carrion Greatsword on the build. I'm going to have both. For reasons. The fun of this build, for me, is all the wacky stuff that you can do switching between the spells. So like in Dark Souls 3, the Hazel Pick build, the Hazel Pick went in the left hand, and it would cast spells, and it had less recovery time in the left hand. Since it had less recovery time, you could bonk someone with an L1, a light attack in the left hand, and that would true combo, meaning it was unescapable, into Soul Greatsword spell or the Old Moonlight spell. Both basically just make a big magic greatsword that hits your opponent, right? So that was like the whole gimmick of the Hazel Pick build, and I loved it. I loved it. Now, there's no true combos like that here, unfortunately, that I've found. I do have Radigan's icon, for those of you who are asking. You're not asking me because I'm not talking. You can't talk to me. This is a video. I've watched Amir's video on spellcast speeds, and I'm still a little unclear on, like, if there are breakpoints or something. But I did see that, I think Amir said that there's like a, in the video Amir said that, like, there was a difference at 35 virtual dex, meaning even if you don't actually have 35 dexterity, you do have 35 dexterity for the purposes of casting. And if you don't know what that means, if you're like, what does that mean? Basically, it means there are things you can equip that give you faster cast speed, and that faster cast speed is represented by what we call virtual dex. You virtually have 35 dexterity, which is where I want to end up, virtually at 35 dexterity. That means, or was it 45? I forget. I don't know. It's early in the morning. Wherever I end up, that's where I intended to end up. Trust me, I'm a professional. So I'm going to end up with 15 dexterity and Radigan's icon, which is either, what is it, like 35 or 45? It doesn't matter. That's where I want to end up. Basically, Amir said that number, so that's where I'm going to go. I'm also using the Graven Image amulet, which increases spell damage. And there's a better version of that I'll get later on, but I don't have it yet. But yeah, the next thing I want to do is get Adula's Great Sword for the upgrade, and I'm also interested in getting the Intelligence Hammer that I think you get from a steel. So I want to get that, and I want to try that out and see how that works with this build. Could be interesting. Now, there are no true combos between the spells that I've noticed, not yet. I just started, I might be wrong. But there are plenty of roll catches, and there's plenty of fun stuff. Actually, I tell you what, I would almost bet my pants that a Carrion Greatsword true combos into a Carrion Slicer, but, who knows. But it's not always about the true combos, it's about what you can do. Like that right there, that was a beautiful segment. Carrion Slicer into Carrion Greatsword into Carrion Piercer. And that was not a combo, it was just all spacing. But it worked out great. And it looked nice too. Flashy. The hammer right now, obviously, like the worst part of this build. And yeah, but I'm gonna stick with it. I could be using the Carrion Knight Sword, which would be so good. I invaded a Bloodhound Step katana dude in Liurnia of the Lakes. He was ganking with his buddy, and I killed his buddy, and then it was me and him, and I switched to an unupgraded Carrion Knight Sword to beat the Bloodhound Step dude. Even though it does less damage, I can hit with it more often, which, eventually, like, that turns into it does more damage. Even though it's unupgraded, it's doing more damage, over the time of the fight. The hammer just, it has so much, like, it has so many shortcomings, and I mean, like, no pun intended, but it is short also. It does not have a lot of range, and it doesn't hit very hard, which is a bit unfortunate because it's such a good looking weapon, I was really hoping it would if not be good, at least be, like, serviceable. And I mean, I guess it kind of, like, you can use it, but you're just obviously putting yourself at a disadvantage if you stick with this thing. Hopefully the Intelligence Hammer is a little better for me. We'll see. But yeah, that's where the build is at. It can do cool stuff. It looks flashy. It looks cool. And that's awesome. It rules. I will say one interesting thing about Elden Ring PvP compared to Dark Souls 3 is there's way less panic rolling from average players because they do so much damage. They're inclined to not panic roll. They'll just sit there and mash attack at you, which is really, it's the smart thing to do. Why would, if you're doing more damage than me, why would you stop doing damage at me, right? And you know, that kind of, this whole build, if it's not going to true combo, is going to kind of be built around roll catches and stuff. This is some footage of just a really nasty, just absolute nasty early game gankers. And I think we're like level 44 here. So they were hanging out at like level 40 or 50 or whatever they happen to be. Just ganking the hell out of me. And I included all this because I wanted to, you know, everybody's getting ganked right now. And I'm using like these unoptimized garbage, you know, well, they're not unoptimized garbage, but I'm using these like not great builds. They're not the best builds. And gankers love to use all the best stuff. It's what they like to do. And like just bleeding me out in like 1.5 hits. It's insane. But, you know, all I needed was, like, one other dude to show up and just not die for 30 seconds. And those gankers can beat me 100 times. It's fine. They're supposed to. Their builds are better than mine, and there's 2 of them. I only have to beat them once. It's like beating a boss in these games. You only have to beat the boss once, and then you've beat it. You win, right? It's the same thing with invaders and gankers. You can hang out all you want. In fact, I hope you hang out. I hope you continue to stick around, you know, until I at least get my 1 kill. And then I can put it on YouTube. Welcome to YouTube. Thanks for watching the video. There will be more of my carrion spy build very soon. And I will see you then. Until then, later, y'all.